Railing Ohmsford stood alone at the bow of the quickening and looked out at the starlit darkness. They were anchored for the night, the airship nestled in a copse of fir and hemlock, the sway of the ship in the soft breezes barely noticeable. It was well after midnight, and he should have been sleeping with the others. But sleep did not come easily these days, and when it did come, it was haunted and left him racked with a deep sense of unease. Better to stay awake, where he could try to do something to control his thoughts, as dark as they were. Better to face his demons standing up, prepared to fight them off and hold them at bay. He could not banish them, of course. He could not send them back to the empty places where they sometimes went, though increasingly less so these days. Not that it mattered. He knew their faces. He knew their names. Fear that he might not be able to find Grianne Ohmsford and bring her back to face the Straken Lord because she was dead, or because she was alive but could not be persuaded to leave the sanctuary in which she had placed herself, unwilling to risk a confrontation of the sort he was proposing, or simply because she was Grianne and she had never been predictable. Doubt that he was doing the right thing in making this journey into the back of beyond because of a hope that had so little chance of succeeding. He should have been seeking his brother in the forbidding, hunting for him there, and bringing him out again in spite of the odds. Time was running out with every passing hour, and his brother was alone, and had no one to help him, and no way of knowing if help would ever come. Redden depended on him, and it must seem to his brother as if Railing had abandoned him. Shame that he was deceiving his companions on this quest, that he was keeping information from them that might dissuade them from continuing. The King of the Silver River had warned him that nothing would happen as he imagined, that there would be results he had not foreseen. The fairy creature had told him he should turn back and travel instead into the forbidding, the one place he knew he could never enter, so great was his terror at the prospect. He felt himself to be a coward and a deceiver. He was consumed by his doubts and his shame, and it was growing increasingly difficult not to reveal this to the others. He tried to keep it hidden, masked by his false words and acts, but it was eating at him, destroying him. He left the vessel's bow and walked back toward the stern, moving quietly, trying not to disturb the sleepers. Some were on deck, wrapped in blankets. Some were below, rolled into hammocks. All slept, save 2 of the rover crew, who kept watch fore and aft. He saw the one at the stern, and turned aside before he reached the man to take up a position near the starboard railing. Small creaks sounded as ropes and lines pulled taut and released again, and snores rose out of the shadows. He liked this quiet time, this confluence of shadows and sleep. Everything was at peace. He wished he could be so. It had only been 2 days now since they had set out from the Rainbow Lake, even though it felt more like 20. They had debated among themselves that morning, on waking, as to the best route for their journey. The Charnels were unknown country to all but Skint. Even Farshorn and his rovers had not come this way before. Railing and Marai had travelled the borderlands while conveying spare parts and salvage to customers, but had not gone farther north. Railing favoured coming up from the Rainbow Lake, following the corridor that snaked between the Wolfstag and the Dragon's Teeth to the Upper Anar, and then continuing on through Janison Pass, east of the Skull Kingdom and its dangers, and straight along the western edge of the Charnels, to the northland city of Anachare, much the same route his grandfather Penderyn had taken while searching for the Tanaquil all those years ago. From Anachare, once resupplied, they could continue on to their destination. But Skint had thought differently. What they needed most, he declared, was a guide, someone who was familiar with the Charnels and could help them find the ruins of Stridegate, where it was said the Tanaquil might be found. There were few who could do that, and he was not one. In point of fact, he knew of only one man who could help them with this, one whose loyalty and knowledge they could depend upon, and even he would need persuading.